Hello friends. Welcome to Turismo. The beauty of tourism. Beyond words. Today we explore fantastic places in London. On the way, please subscribe and enable bell button to get latest video updates. Let's go. It's Little Wonder London. England is one of the world's top tourist destinations, attracting upward of 20 million visitors each year from around the world. Britain's capital city is a vibrant arts and entertainment centre. Its theatres are always busy, and 50 years after the Beatles, the country's music scene still rocks. Buckingham Palace and the changing of the guard. One of Britain's most iconic buildings, Buckingham Palace is also the scene of London's most popular display of pomp and circumstance, the changing of the guard. Drawing crowds at 11:30 a.m. regardless of the season, this colorful and free display of precision marching and music also takes place at St. James's Palace, after which you can follow the band along the Mall as they march between sites. Buckingham Palace was built in 1837 and has been the London residence of the royal family since Queen Victoria's accession. If you're wondering whether the Queen is in, look at the flagpole atop the building. If the royal standard is flying day and night, she's at home. On special state occasions, she and members of the royal family may even emerge on the central balcony. The Tower of London and Tower Bridge. From prison to palace, treasure vault to private zoo, the magnificent Tower of London has fulfilled many different roles down the centuries. One of Britain's most iconic structures, this spectacular World Heritage Site offers hours of fascination for visitors curious about the country's rich history. After all, so much of it happened here. Inside the massive White Tower, built in 1078 by William the Conqueror, is the 17th century line of kings with its remarkable displays of royal armaments and armor. The British Museum. Displaying one of the world's finest collections of antiquities, the British Museum contains more than 13 million artifacts from the ancient world. With priceless objects from Assyria, Babylonia, China, Europe, and elsewhere, it's hard to know where to begin. But most tourists head first for the museum's most famous exhibits, the controversial Elgin marbles from the Parthenon, the Rosetta Stone, the colossal bust of Ramesses II, the Egyptian mummies, and the spectacular hoard of 4th century Roman silver known as the Mildenhall treasure. Big Ben and Parliament. Nothing screams London more emphatically than the 318-foot-tower housing the giant clock and its resounding bell known as Big Ben. It's as iconic a landmark as Tower Bridge, and the tolling of Big Ben is known throughout Europe as the prime signal of the BBC. Below, stretching along the Thames, are the Houses of Parliament, seat of Britain's government for many centuries and once the site of the Royal Westminster Palace occupied by William the Conqueror. National Gallery. Ranking among the top art museums in the world, London's National Gallery represents an almost complete survey of European painting from 1260 until 1920. The museum's greatest strengths are in its collections of Dutch masters and Italian schools of the 15th and 16th centuries. Among its highlights are a cartoon, preliminary sketch, of the Madonna and Child by Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo's The Entombment, Botticelli's Venus and Mars, Van Gogh's Sunflowers, and the Water Lily Pond by Monet. The Victoria and Albert Museum. The Victoria and Albert Museum is part of a South Kensington-based group of museums that includes the Natural History Museum and Science Museum. Founded in 1852, the V&A covers close to 13 acres and contains 145 galleries spanning some 5,000 years of art and related artifacts. Exhibits include ceramics and glass, textiles and costumes, silver and jewelry, ironwork, sculpture, prints, and photos, and are conveniently arranged into 4 main categories: Asia, furniture, textiles, and fashion, sculpture, metalwork, ceramics, and glass, and word and image. Piccadilly Circus and Trafalgar Square. 2 of London's best-known tourist spots, Piccadilly Circus and Trafalgar Square lie not far apart and mark the gateways to Soho, London's lively theatre and entertainment district. Trafalgar Square was built to commemorate Lord Horatio Nelson's victory over the French and Spanish at Trafalgar in 1805. Nelson's column, a 183-foot granite monument, overlooks the square's fountains and bronze reliefs, which were cast from French cannons. Admiralty Arch, St. Martin in the Fields, and the National Gallery surround the square. Piccadilly Circus marks the irregular intersection of several busy streets, Piccadilly, Regent, Haymarket, and Shaftesbury Avenue, and overlooking the somewhat untidy snarl of traffic stands London's best-known sculpture, the Winged Eros, delicately balanced on one foot, bow poised. It's like Piccadilly Circus is a common expression describing a busy and confusing scene. The Shard. Since it opened in 2012, the Shard has taken its place as one of the most recognizable and most visited landmarks in London. Standing 1,016 feet tall and encompassing some 95 stories, this remarkable structure, so named for its resemblance to a shard of glass, dominates the skyline yet, thanks to its pleasing design, doesn't seem at all out of place when seen next to neighbors such as Tower Bridge. The two Tates, Tate Britain and Tate Modern. Once collectively known singularly as the Tate Gallery, London now has two Tate art galleries, Tate Britain and Tate Modern. Comprising one of the world's most important art collections, the original gallery opened in 1897 as the basis of a national collection of significant British art, and continued to make acquisitions, needing more space to properly display its collections. The end result was the establishment of Tate Britain, in Millbank on the north side of the Thames, as home to its permanent collection of historic British paintings. A superbly transformed power station across the Thames became home to the modern art collections. Art lovers can spend a whole day viewing both sites, conveniently connected by high-speed ferry. Better still, walk across the Millennium Bridge, a footbridge that connects the two banks of the river close to the Tate Modern. The views are spectacular. Westminster Abbey. Another location with a long association with British royalty, Westminster Abbey stands on a site that's been associated with Christianity since the early 7th century. Officially known as the Collegiate Church of St. Peter in Westminster, Westminster Abbey was founded by Edward the Confessor in 1065 as his place of interment. From his burial in 1066 until that of George II almost 700 years later, most sovereigns were not only crowned here but were buried here, too. More recently, it's become famous as the preferred location for royal weddings. This masterpiece of Gothic architecture not only has the highest Gothic nave in England, 102 feet, it's also one of London's most popular tourist attractions, drawing well over 1 million visitors each year. Highlights of a visit include seeing the more than 600 memorials in the nave, including the Tomb of the Unknown Warrior, Poets' Corner and the transepts, with its memorials to the likes of Shakespeare, Chaucer, and Dickens, the Westminster Abbey Museum, and the attractive gardens. Churchill's War Rooms. Among the most fascinating and evocative of London's historic sites is a perfectly preserved nerve centre from which Prime Minister Winston Churchill directed the British military campaigns and the defence of his homeland throughout World War II. Their Spartan simplicity and cramped conditions underline the desperate position of England as the Nazi grip tightened across Europe. You'll see the tiny cubicle where Churchill slept and the improvised radio studio where he broadcast his famous wartime speeches. Simple details, such as Clementine Churchill's knitting wool marking the front lines on a map of Europe, bring the era to life as no other museum could possibly do. Audio guides are available, a thorough self-guided tour takes about 90 minutes, and a cafe and bookshop are located on the premises. Natural History Museum. Established in 1754, London's spectacular Natural History Museum remains one of the most visited such attractions on the planet. It's easy to spot for its huge Romanesque facade, and a visit is something you'll not want to rush. Many of the museum's original exhibits are still on display centuries later, and together comprise a massive collection of more than 80 million items showcasing everything from botany to zoology, plus pretty much everything in between. A highlight of a visit is seeing the preserved specimens that Charles Darwin collected on his epic journeys. If you're not in a hurry, start your visit by joining one of the formal guided tours on offer, ranging from 30 to 50 minutes. You'll be introduced to highlights you may wish to return to at a later date to explore in greater detail. A variety of fun events are held regularly, from workshops for kids to late-night openings. Shopping opportunities are located on-site, along with a number of dining options. Hyde Park. Covering 350 acres, Hyde Park is London's largest open space and has been a destination for sightseers since 1635. One of the park's highlights is the Serpentine, an 18th-century man-made lake popular for boating and swimming. Hyde Park is also where you'll find Speaker's Corner, a traditional forum for free speech and heckling. Another Hyde Park landmark is Apsley House, former home of the first Duke of Wellington and purchased after his famous victory at Waterloo. Now a museum, it houses Wellington's magnificent collections of paintings, including Velázquez's The Water Cellar of Seville, along with gifts presented by grateful European kings and emperors. England's greatest hero is also commemorated at the Wellington Arch. Another lovely London green space to explore is Regent's Park. Just a short walk away from Westminster, this 410-acre attraction is a delight to stroll around. If you're traveling with kids, be sure to visit London Zoo, located within the grounds of the park and one of the most popular things to do for families visiting the city. Okay, now I am stopping here. Many other fantastic places is there. Hit while explore in another video. See you next time and please like, share, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching.